Recently, a video showed a man showing a drop in the water level of the Euphrates River, which fell drastically.
The water level in the Euphrates River in northeastern Syria is so low that 5 million people may be left without access to safe drinking water. There was a moment when the strip of land between the Tigris and the Euphrates rivers in the Middle East was so lush as to earn itself the nickname of fertile crescent. So what does this mean for humanity's fate? The drying of the Euphrates is significant both biblically and scientifically. Many Christians are keeping an eye on the Euphrates River, which is virtually dry and has a Bible verse related with it that mentions 4 fallen angels after it has dried up. Strange sounds and tunnels beneath wrecked land formations accompany these biblical revelations. So, is the historical Euphrates River drying up because of an imminent fulfilment of the passages in Revelation? Or is there another reason we should be aware of? And are these tunnels where fallen angels are imprisoned, or are they simply forgotten underground passageways of the ancient Mesopotamian Empire? Stick around to the end to get all the answers. The civilization of ancient Mesopotamia grew up along the banks of 2 huge rivers, the Euphrates and the Tigris. The peoples of Mesopotamia relied on these rivers to provide drinking water, agricultural irrigation, and vital transportation routes in the midst of a huge desert. Over centuries, the flood pulse of the Euphrates and Tigris left the southern plains of what is now Iraq with the richest soil in the Near East. For 3,000 years, the people of Mesopotamia maintained a significant degree of cultural unity, even though politically they were much more fragmented. The rulers of various regions, Sumer, Akkad, Babylonia, and Assyria, dominated Mesopotamia as a whole at one time or another. During periods of great political unity, rulers extended their influence beyond the 2 rivers, ruling surrounding territories and controlling the Near Eastern trade routes. The Sumerian and Akkadian kings of the late 3rd millennium BCE made the first known attempts at creating large-scale empires. The river, which stretches for 1,740 miles, is regarded as Asia's longest. The river flows from Turkey to Syria and Iraq before joining the Persian Gulf. However, the Euphrates River is in peril. The river is significantly smaller than it was a few years ago as a result of Iraq's neighbours Turkey and Syria's water policy, a 2-year drought, and years of abuse by Iraq and its farmers. There are also 2 passages in the Bible that foretell the Euphrates River's eventual drying up. God pronounces judgment against Babylon's officials and wise men, and against its false prophets, warriors, horse and chariots, and treasures. Then God says, "A drought on her waters. They will dry up, for it is a land of idols, idols that will go mad with terror." Jeremiah 50:38. The waters of Babylon are the Euphrates and Tigris rivers. Both rivers are drying up now. Is this the fulfillment of Jeremiah's prophecy? This prophecy was most likely fulfilled by military action when the Persian ruler Cyrus invaded Babylon in 539 BC. According to the Greek historian Herodotus, Cyrus diverted the Euphrates water sufficiently to allow his army to enter through the conduits between the city walls, or the prophecy will be fulfilled during the Great Tribulation, which corresponds to the 6th bowl judgment of Revelation 16. The Euphrates River's drying up has also revealed several ancient ruins and a cave. Some see the drying riverbed as a fulfillment of the Bible's end-of-the-world prophecies. However, a video has recently emerged from this location that is both intriguing and disturbing for many people. Have the 4 fallen angels trapped beneath the Euphrates River's waters been recorded? What about the sounds of the scorpion-like beast expelled from the earth when the bottomless pit in Revelation 9 is opened? A video purporting to show archaeologists working at the dried-up Euphrates River location was recently made public. The video also claims to have captured voices of fallen angels or demons imprisoned within the bottomless pit. We must underline that these sounds could be made up, and this is far from proof, especially given we only have one video. We do, however, know that there are 4 angels that are bound at the Euphrates River, and that once they are unchained, they will slay 1/3 of men with 200 million horsemen. This is something we've learned from the Bible. Many individuals have questioned the veracity of the sounds from the pit, but everyone agrees on the location of the strange tunnel beneath the riverbed, which could house the fallen angels referenced in the Bible. Who are the imprisoned fallen angels beneath the Euphrates? The identity of the angels beneath the Euphrates is known from Revelation chapter 12, 7-9. According to the Bible, then war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But he was not strong enough, and they lost their place in heaven. The great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil, or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth and his angels with him. The 4 angels under the Euphrates are certainly members of the fallen angels that were cast down with Satan, according to Revelation 9. When you read Luke chapter 10 verse 17, Revelation chapter 12 verses 7-9, and Jude chapter 1 verse 6, you will see that some of the fallen angels, who were part of the 1/3 of angels decided by the devil, were not allowed to roam freely on the earth like the others, but were instead chained or bound until the appointed time. It is likely that these imprisoned angels were violent and could imperil humanity's existence, thus God had to imprison them. The 4 angels of the Euphrates are unmistakably among the chained angels. They will be unleashed from the Euphrates according to Revelation chapter 9 to fulfill biblical predictions that call for the smiting of 1/3 of earth. Everyone should be aware that everything going on in the Euphrates indicates that the rupture is imminent, so we must serve the Lord with passion because we are in the latter days. Instead, when we consider this in conjunction with the numerous prophetic signs converging on our time, it serves as a marker of where we are prophetically, which should strengthen our faith in God's Word and encourage us as our blessed hope approaches. However, what is the scientific reason for the rivers drying up? Although the situation is complicated, climate change, conflict, and indiscriminate dam construction in neighbouring countries have all contributed to a water crisis that threatens the livelihoods of millions of people in the region. According to Water Ministry research, the Euphrates and Tigris rivers in Iraq will run dry within 2 decades if nothing is done. Regrettably, these 2 rivers provide up to 98% of Iraq's surface water supply. Iraq could become a land without rivers as early as 2040. According to Berkeley Earth, a non-profit climate research organization based in California, Iraq's annual temperatures are rising at roughly twice the global average. Since the late 1800s, the world has warmed by an average of 1.3 degrees Celsius, while Iraq has warmed by an astounding 2.5 degrees Celsius. The human-made component of the Euphrates problems, on the other hand, begins more than 1,000 kilometers upstream in eastern Turkey, below the Taurus Mountains. The Turkish government has been building dams for years in order to generate electricity and develop agricultural land. The Kaban Dam on the upper Euphrates was completed in 1974, and the Ataturk Dam in 1990. A $32 billion project to build 22 dams and 19 hydroelectric plants on the Tigris and Euphrates rivers will supply roughly 1/4 of Turkey's electricity in the long run. Meanwhile, Syria built the Tabqa Dam upstream from Raqqa in the 1970s, as well as a few other dams on the Euphrates and its tributaries before the civil war. Since the Turkish and Syrian dams were built in the 1970s, water flow into Iraq has been reduced by roughly 2/3. For decades, Iraqis fought with both neighbours over its fair share of the water. When Turkey and Syria channeled the Euphrates River into a series of reservoirs, effectively drying out the rivers downstream in Iraq, the conflict was on the verge of escalation. As a result, the Iraqi government built a canal network that connected the Euphrates River to Lake Al-Tharthar northwest of Baghdad. According to the Iraqi ministry, the Euphrates River will only be filled to 1/3 of its original capacity by 2035. When combined with the loss of Tigris water, Iraq will fall short of 80% of its annual consumption of 53 million cubic meters. Furthermore, a recent NASA and German government satellite study found that, with the exception of India, the Tigris-Euphrates loses groundwater the fastest. The World Resources Institute, a non-profit environmental organization based in the United States, has identified Iraq as one of the countries that will face extremely severe water stress by 2040. The people of Iraq are already feeling the effects of the Euphrates drying up. According to relief organizations, Iraq's current water crisis is already threatening the lives of at least 10 million people and limiting access to food and energy. Wheat output in northern Iraq could fall by up to 70%. To improve the situation, the irrigation system would need to be completely overhauled, which could cost between $60 and $80 billion, money that the suffering nation simply does not have, implying that starvation is on the horizon. Aside from that, as dams fail, electrical supply decreases, affecting hospital operations and other critical infrastructure. Is the current situation the result of climate change and regional politics, or do you believe Bible prophecies are being fulfilled? Tell us about it in the comments section below.